Welcome to the school board meeting, regular meeting, December 12th, 2023, at approximately 7:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and ask Ms. Melissa Post to take the roll call.
Sure. Jason Giard?
Here.
Erin Pellegrini?
Here.
David Smith?
Here.
Andy Cabarrus? Carl Hubner? Thank you. And Pinkerton Student Board Member Shannon Cappell?
Here.
Thanks. Also seated at the board table is Superintendent of Schools Bob Thompson and CFO Jeff Dowd.
Thank you, Melissa. If we can go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Hubner, you want to lead us? Yes. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everybody. Board members, you'll see in your packet there are 3 sets of meeting minutes. There's the November 28th regular meeting, then there's the non-public number 1 and the non-public number 2 from November 28, 23. You can take a review and look for a motion to accept with or without discussion. We have a motion by Dr. Hubner.
Second.
I'll second that. Oh, you did, sorry. I do have a couple questions on the meeting minutes on number 2, Melissa. Maybe I'm not reading, I don't have my glasses here. We did have a motion to seal, and I don't see that recorded.
It should be reflected in the regular set.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's in the regular.
That's where it was.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
Just on the last page.
Thank you, Melissa, for keeping me honest.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions? All right. All approved?
Thank you.
Motion passes. All right. Let me get back to these. All right. So next, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
All right. Thank you. We're going to move on to current business. And, school highlights with Miss Mulberry.
I don't know if you threw it on. Oh, it was really low and now it's like they're like off.
All right. Thank you. I have a few highlights. I know I was just here a couple weeks ago and thought I'm not going to have much to say, and I was shocked at how much I had to say. So I'm happy to fill you in on some recent happenings in the middle school. Yesterday we were excited to welcome a team of 8 educators from the Andover school system, Andover, Mass, from 2 of their middle schools. They had reached out through New England League of Middle Schools because we are a spotlight school and asked if they could do a visit and check our school out and see what we do. They had a lot of great questions, wanted to see about our school. They observed lots of classrooms, had a chance to meet with some teachers and ask questions. So it was a great day, and they were really impressed with what they saw. So that was really fun, and I thank all of our teachers who were willing to have a group of strangers step into their classroom. The students were really awesome too. They asked kids questions, and they were happy to have dialogue with those educators. We will be receiving a team on January 11th as well, and then we'll be done with that. And, but it was nice collaboration with them and nice to have that conversation. I want to give a huge congratulations to our district social worker, Julie Barbick. She was recognized at the Southern Rockingham County Coalition for Healthy Youth. They had a community appreciation event, and she was recognized for being a community champion. She's certainly done a lot of work in our schools and in our community, and it was really awesome to see her recognized for that work. So we're really proud of her, and we thank her for everything she does. And also at that night, we're really super proud and excited that 4 of our former students who are now Pinkerton students, Maddie Pelletier, Liam Shea, Cole Meduno, and Ty Weiscarver, were also recognized for the work they did with the Central School last year, and that was the Gizmo's Possum Guide to Mental Health program that they did, in just that elementary version of some mental health awareness, and that was really fantastic that they were recognized that same night. We have a lot of superstars around here, in case anybody hadn't noticed that. Really proud. Our 5th graders had the opportunity to have the Night Under the Stars, a starry night with the New Hampshire Astronomical Society, and they came with their massive telescopes on a beautiful night, and were able to, the students and their parents were able to see some pretty awesome things in the night sky. Our 7th grade science, so that was put on with the organization of Martha Deniski, so thank you to Martha for that. 5th grade science, and Mrs. Griffin, our 7th grade science teacher, and Mr. Basilian were there to help. And it really is a well-received night, and the kids and the families really love it. So Mrs. Griffin is looking to do one for the 7th grade in January. Our students continue to give back. They're working hard. We have a food drive going on with a toy drive. Student council's hosting that. Our 8th grade student leaders are doing candygrams at lunches to raise money and be able to give back to the community. So just continue to be really proud of our students who are focused on giving back and doing some of that work to raise funds and give people some things that they need. Student Council will be hosting an activity night on Friday. It's a movie night and a candy bar bingo, so you can come and watch Nightmare Before Christmas, and you can also bring some like movie theater box type candies and play candy bar bingo while you're here, so that will be really exciting. And then the Giving Games is an event that happened last year right around the holidays, where some of our students, our 8th graders in our leadership flex group as well as ventures, put together the arcade games that they put up in the gym, and our students will be able to go and play the arcade games, and the purpose of it is giving, and so hopefully they'll bring some canned goods with them to give as part of that. And I think this is something that will continue to evolve, but they're really excited, and they've been working really hard on their creations, so lots going on.
That's awesome. Questions? Couple quick questions from me. The Starry Night, is that done multiple times a year, or is that only once a year?
It's typically once a year in a grade level. Last year and this year we had 2 different nights with 2 different grade levels. Okay,
perfect. The activity night sounds like a lot of fun. Is that for students only, or is that students and their families? Like, what is that?
That one is for students.
Okay.
Yep.
Didn't know if, like, younger
That's a great
siblings.
question. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point, and something that I am happy to talk to student council about, that they might want to consider more of a family event. It's tricky because sometimes our middle schoolers like to have those nights by themselves, right? But the community event is
Sometimes the parents like to drop them off too, so
exactly.
I get it. No.
That is true, but a community night where families can join would be a fun one to do too, so we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and now I'll turn it over to Shannon for the highlight of the night, talk about Pinkerton. You want to take Melissa's? Or I can turn it over. Got it?
I got it.
Okay, good.
This past Thursday, the FBLA presented Pinkerton's Got Talent. It's always fun to see what the students can pull out their sleeves and show things that we don't get to see every day in the classroom. The sophomore semi-formal was this past Saturday. Student council and the management team members competed in a gingerbread house competition, and after very close examination, Mr. Perez's team won. The instrumental holiday concert is Wednesday night, followed by the choral and bell concert on Thursday. We celebrated I Love PA Week leading up to Pinkerton's Day of Giving this past 2 weeks ago. Seniors played trivia, won prizes, and shared what they love about Pinkerton. Winter sports are all up and running, and I think probably my favorite news that I've shared in a while. The class of 2025 is taping Dr. Powers to the wall. Every dollar donated is 1 foot of tape, and that money will go back to the community of Derry. And now we're just in this final push until winter break.
Thank you. Any questions for Shannon?
Nope. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shannon. All right. We're going to now move into current business, and we're going to first turn it over to Ms. Jessica Parsons.
Good evening. So I have some exciting news to present tonight. The first is we would like to thank an anonymous donor for their $6,333 donation that's going to be utilized to cover student lunch balances that are over $10. This is a very generous donation, and the district wants to thank that anonymous donor. Additionally, we had another donation from the Greater Salem Rotary Club, and they generously donated $2,500 in grocery gift cards to our families in need. And they are currently going to be able to provide us with 25 individual grocery cards, each worth $100. And we're hoping to pick those up on December 18th if you approve that donation.
Wow. That's
That's awesome.
really nice on both.
Yeah, that's great.
Do for a motion on each one individually. So I'll make a motion to accept the anonymous donation from a community member in the amount of, I believe it was $6,333.33.
Yes. Thank you, Dave.
I'll second that.
Questions, comments? Just, really appreciate that person and helping out those families. So,
Thank you.
all approved? All right. Make a motion to accept the $2,500 donation from the Greater Salem Rotary Club in accordance with policy KCD.
Second.
Second by Ms. Giard. Any comments, questions? And again, thank you to Salem Rotary Club. This is really nice, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All approved. All right.
And I just want to
Kyle?
give a
Kyle?
shout out
Can you? Okay.
to Julie Barbick, who has been instrumental in kind of partnering with the Salem Rotary Club to ensure that Hampstead is in receipt of some of these donations. So thank you to Julie and her work with the community partners.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn it over to Mr. Thompson now, talk about the HCS addition plan design.
Yeah, this is just a real quick update. So at the last board meeting, the board affirmed their support for the 2 classroom addition, what I think we called the Cove Classroom Addition. This plan will provide a path forward for us to have a renovation that we can move forward with that will have no future tax impact. So the planning phases for setting the warrant and the vote in March and moving forward with the plan has begun. We met with the owner's project manager on Friday. And what they're in the process of doing is putting together a schedule for what the proposed project would look like. This will enable us to move very quickly once the March vote has taken place, because we would be looking to utilize funds from the capital improvement plan, capital maintenance plan. We don't have to wait until July. We could actually start with the project on a accelerated timeline obviously in the next couple of weeks, we'll get more information in regards to what that will look like. So we can expect more information at the next board meeting in January.
Right. Yeah, I think it was really good, well attended, and good feedback from the team on the phone call to go over this, and they were excited about it. So definitely more to come here. And the next board meeting that we talk about will be the second meeting in January, because the first
That's
one
right,
is
the second
for-
meeting in January.
Yep. So, any questions on this? All right, we'll steam ahead. Next up is to talk about the operating budget, Mr. Thompson.
All right, excellent. We just have a brief presentation to put on the screen for the board and for folks watching at home. All right, so we are proud to present the third round and final administrative budget to the Hampstead School Board for their final consideration. Again, this is a long process that actually starts over the summer. And as the board has seen, we construct our department budgets, our school budgets, and then we begin the process of developing the overall operating budget, using a process by which we build the budget from the ground up. We've talked about this several times. A key component of the budget process is transparency, right? So the budget documents, if you want to take a look at and scrutinize all of our account lines, the object codes, how we are proposing that we spend the 2024-2025 budget, it's all there online for folks to see. And I know we've had a number of really substantive conversations here at the board table. So if we can advance to the next slide. So in general, this is the third time we've come here to present the budget. And of those 3 times, each time we've come here with a different number. The good news is that number has gotten lower every time that we've come back. So this is the final budget we're going to present to you. The overall budget for the 2024-2025 school year, we are proposing a budget of $36,379,939. If we were to compare that to the previously voted budget for 23-24, that was $34,658,893. This represents an increase of $1,721,047, and that represents an overall increase of 4.97%. So again, here we are presenting the third round of the operating budget, and this is sort of where we land. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dowd, who can sort of walk us through some of these other tracking pieces.
So we'll just do a quick recap and summary as to where we started out, where we ended up, and how we got where we are on the budget now. Our first draft we presented was $36,713,733. We had made $161,225,000 worth of cuts in the second draft budget. That second draft budget came in at $36,552,508. That included a true up, it was actually a true down to Pinkerton's released rate of 5.1% for their tuition increase. We have an insurance true up, which was actually a true down of $150,000, as well as transportation of $97,859. So we left that budget at $36,552,508, and the budget that we are presenting this evening is $36,379,939. And that is a difference of $172,568 favorable. And here's how we got there. We had had some discussions with the board on what cuts in the range of $100,000 would look like. A few of these were on that list. Most of these were on that list. So we'll go through. So I've adjusted our health insurance down by $20,000, which is approximately one policy. We have a HCS roof replacement. It's a smaller section, and it is fine to defer to next year for $41,097. Lawnmower, $17,795. Again, we'll defer that until next year. We've trimmed the Summer Learning Academy out of the budget, out of our operating budget, This isn't all of it. This is a portion, a significant portion of it. We'll look for grant funding on that. Same thing with Coder Z licensing. We'll look at grant funding for that as well, in 3850. Sometimes with grants that are out there, you're penalized if it's in your operating budget. You may not qualify for the budget. They want to fund something that's in addition to that. So this may be helpful in obtaining those grants. We had a FICA and employee and teacher retirement final adjustment of $95,463. That number looked high comparatively, and I went back, reran the calculations with our final numbers and made sure that everything was correct, and it turned out that we were over there about $95,000 when we actually plugged in the final numbers. We're up $25,000 for our SRO. Looking at the trending on that, we had $75,000 in the budget. We've asked more of the SRO, which has run into overtime, to be able to make it to dismissal and arrival at both schools. So looking at that, I'd feel better if we had that additional amount in the office. We'd included central office rent for that additional unit for ADA accessibility. Elevator's working. We seem to have ADA accessibility at the moment, so we're good. We can pull the $9,600 out there. So we're looking at, again, the budget of $36,379,939. Don't know if there are any questions from the board.
So, no, at first I'd say for me, it's appreciated going back and actually delivering over what we asked. We, we're shooting for 100,000 last time. You came with 170. So if I look at this from the first time we started reviewing this on the 14th, we're about $340,000 less than what we were first looking at the budget.
Overall?
Overall, right. So I appreciate that. Other board members, questions, comments?
I think the questions I have, and I know you've commented a little bit, but I think I have a little bit of a concern about the Summer Learning Academy. I mean, are we in jeopardy of not being able to do that if that?
No, so we are in the process of finalizing ESSER 3. So ESSER 3 is the grant, the third and final grant that we received for COVID relief. So some of the things that we anticipated as expenditures are not expenditures. So in speaking with Mrs. Tomaselli, we are able to fund for this year the Summer Learning Academy for one additional year in ESSER 3.
Okay.
It's covered. We are still going to look for additional funding because we actually used, what was the name of the? Beyond School Enrichment. So it's Summer Learning Academy has been in ESSER 3. So Nicole found a grant. Then she found another grant. So it sort of moved around. We will have one more year of funding in ESSER 3 for Summer Learning Academy, which means to put on your radar, you will expect next year that we will have Summer Learning Academy in the operating budget. It would seem almost unsustainable for more than 3 years to be able to carry this in a grant. And then also just to note, because it falls in a similar category, the Coder Z licensing. I want to be clear, and I probably should have mentioned this at the last meeting. Coder Z, what Nicole worked with our new tech integrator at the Central School, Tara McLaughlin, to get a grant for Coder Z. And what Nicole was able to do is negotiate with Coder Z for a contract for both schools that actually results in a cost savings of the $3,850. So it is okay for us to show that as a reduction, but to make the board aware that we are not cutting any aspect of that program. It was really through the negotiation that Nicole was able to do with the vendor.
Okay, thank you.
That was my concern, so thank you.
All right. And just for percentages, I mean, I believe when we started talking about this again in the beginning of November, we were looking at a 6 to 7% increase. We're at under 5. So I appreciate a lot of due diligence into this.
And I can tell you anecdotally, I mentioned to Chairman Smith earlier, I attended the state superintendent's meeting on Friday, and we had an open discussion about operating budgets, and 4.97% was one of the lowest in the region. So, and I can certainly get additional data to support that.
Yep.
And out of the $1.7 million increase, 1.2 of it is just healthcare, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I know in the winter meeting, we were at Pinkerton, talking to the board members, they were looking at, on average, 7 to 10%. So, you know, we knew we were on the lower edge, so it's appreciative. Hopefully they're able to get down low as we did also. So, all right. Well, thank you for that. We're going to continue the discussion of budget with the default budget with Mr. Dowd.
So just as a reminder, the default budget, no.
Oh, you got it, okay.
Just as a reminder, the default budget is a formula that's created in its, not an exact formula, but it's a formula that's laid out by statute. So I've put in as part of this presentation, RSA 4013. Essentially, we take last year's voted budget number and we roll it forward and we make adjustments as indicated by statute for certain things. The default budget can be reduced or increased, and I'm just going to pick up in the middle of that, as the case may be, by debt service contracts and other obligations incurred or mandated by law, and reduced by one-time expenditures contained in the operating budget, by salaries and benefits of positions that have been eliminated. So I've got that in the presentation. The default budget, the way we put it together, you actually have a budget report as well, and essentially it's just a formula to get us to what those appropriations will be for the next year. If the default budget were to pass, the school board has the ability under a case called Sullivan v. Hampton to reallocate that bucket of money to however the district feels that you need it. So essentially, when we go through the default budget process, we're not setting the budget on a line-by-line basis for the next year. We're taking our appropriations the previous year, applying the statute, and seeing where we end up to get to that sort of that bucket of money, if you will. So our 23-24 budget, that's our baseline. That was $34,658,892. The default budget 24-25, as calculated at present, is $36,144,676, which is a change from the 23-24 budget of $1,485,784. We compare the default budget really to the previous year budget because that's the better comparison. That's the number that we're using. It's not, you really can't compare it to this year's budget. You can look at the two of them, but you really can't compare them. Right. Here are the default budget major factors. We had one-time warrant articles for $1,273,888, which have been removed. We had our insurance increase net of $1,016,231. We have our three bargaining group units contracts. HEA is $324,000. HAS is $185,000 or 20. HESPA is $19,830. You'll see on that screen that they're voted in 23. HEA and HAS. HESPA was voted in 21. Our Pinkerton tuition is up by $118,680. Outside tuitions and programming up $309,350. This is largely in the special education student services world where they're required by law. Special education services themselves up $327,698. Transportation's up $181,158. And special transportation's up $282,837, giving us the total of $1,485,783. So you do actually have a more detailed budget schedule that you can see. It's several pages long, so you can see exactly where those numbers fall in the function and object lines.
And just to remind, the transportation that's different than special transportation, that line is for Central, Middle, and Pinkerton.
That's correct.
Versus special transportation is anything above that, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I understood that correctly.
Yeah. Special transportation is anything not related to the buses that we see going to Central, Middle, and Pinkerton.
Perfect, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions from Mr. Dowd on default budget? All right.
So the next time we're meeting, I believe, is going to be the public hearing.
Yep, I was about to get into that next.
Okay, so we'll have, you'll need to sign the warrant. So I'll have the warrant, budget form, as well as the default budget at the SAU whenever the warrant all that's finalized.
Yep, and we have to do that ahead of January 2nd, I believe. I look at the dates, but yes. All right. So that brings us right into the next topic about warrant articles for the final review. So board members, some of this we did cover at the last meeting, but I'll review the ones that we haven't in more detail as we'll look for a motion. So as we go through this, I don't know if we're showing anything. No, okay. So board members, in your packet, there's an overview of the warrant, and I'll read some of this for the public at hand for some of the discussions and meetings that'll be coming up. So the first session of annual meeting deliberative, again, you're hereby notified to meet at the Hampstead Middle School, 28 School Street, Hampstead, New Hampshire, on Tuesday, the 6th day of February 2024 at 7 p.m. The session shall consist of explanation, discussion, and debate of warrant articles numbers 2 through 5. As it stands right now, we'll have 5 articles. Warrant articles may be amended subject to the following limitations. A, warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law shall not be amended. B, warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. And C, no warrant articles shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. An amendment that changes the dollar amount of an appropriation in a warrant article does not violate this provision. Second session of annual meeting, the voting day. Voting on warrant articles 1 through 5 will be conducted by official ballot to be held in conjunction with the town meeting voting to be held on Tuesday, the 12th day of March 2024 at the middle school, 28 School Street, Hampstead, New Hampshire. Polls will be open here from 8 a.m. and remain open until 8 p.m. Article 1, we have election of officers. We have 2 school board member seats that are up. Article 2, the operating budget. So this one I'll make sure to go back to the numbers because we will want to get a motion here, but I'll read it. All right. So, operating budget, shall the voters of the Hampstead School District raise and appropriate an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant for the purpose set forth therein, totaling $36,379,939. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be, one second, cliffhanger, shall be $36,144,676, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Hampstead School District or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013, 10 and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Note, warrant article 2 operating budget does not include appropriations proposed under any other warrant articles. Majority vote required. I would like to make a motion to advance the operating budget as just previously stated to the 2024 warrant.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yard. Any discussion? All approved? All right. We do have Article 3, which we did approve at the last meeting to move forward. This was to raise and appropriate up to $1 million to be placed in the school renovation, reconstruction, and capital improvement reserve, capital reserve plan. Anything above $150,000, in excess of $150,000 would be part of this. The first $150,000 surplus would be returned to taxpayers, and anything above the $1,150,000 would then again be returned to the public. We again move forward with Article 4 already, which is the Hampstead School 2 infill classroom project to utilize capital reserve. And then lastly, the general acceptance of reports, we also move forward. So that covers the warrant articles set forth. So Articles 1 through 5 are what we're moving forward with. Melissa, did I miss anything?
In terms of the warrant, no, I don't think you did miss anything, but did the board want to go ahead and approve the proposed budget and also approve the default budget?
I probably missed those actions, didn't I? Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented, the operating budget of $36,379,939.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Approvals? All right. And I'll make another motion to accept the default budget of $36,144,676.
Second.
Any discussion? All approved? Thank you, Melissa, for keeping me honest.
David, when you've moved the articles forward, subject to legal review or adjustments based on legal review, would that be fair to say?
Sure.
I do have one word that we will probably end up taking out, just right behind you. If you see right, Article 4, it says recommended by school board. Right above that, it says created for this purpose, available for transfer. That's coming from the capital reserve, so that'll be available. But it's stuff like that that we'll run it through legal, and if they have any minor changes, we'll go ahead and affect those.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Dowd. All right. We're going to move into the policies for the second reading. So, board members, these are 4 policies that we have read, that we did read at the last meeting. I'll quickly go over these and see if there's any questions or updates that anybody wants to discuss. Policy EG, district communications. This was the one that essentially is a summary of all the different plans and different plan goals, etc., that the district carries. We have KDA, which is the Public Information Program. Again, this is the one that was being repealed due to that we now have, I think this is the one with the EG. Yeah, with the release of the EG District Communications. We have EBCC, which covers bomb threats. Again, this one had a little bit more extensive modifications, but gave a little bit more detail to what we call not only bomb threats, but active shooter, false alarms, and other such threats. And then lastly, the EB Joint Loss Management Committee. Again, this was one that was last revised in 2015. Revisions include removal of language relative to general safety plans and programs, since those are now addressed in policy EBB, the school safety plan. Take a minute and look for a motion to accept the 4 policies as read.
I will make a motion to accept the 4 policies as written.
Go ahead and second that. Any discussion? All right, all approved? All right. All right, quick agenda under the current business. So let's move on to board comments and correspondence.
Not school related, but I was able to help at the senior citizens holiday dinner a couple weekends ago, and it was great. Really nice job done by the group. That's about it.
Go over to Mr. Cabarrus.
Not school related either, but the Hampstead Carol crew is shaping up nicely. Got a bunch of time slots, a bunch of purchases, so looking forward to that on the 23rd.
That's great. All right. For me, one is the parade that happened this weekend. Just a huge congratulations to the middle school band who was out there and did a great job, amongst a lot of other students that we saw that were participating in the parade. It was great to see a lot of the young faces out there in the community. So that was the first one. Second one, I just want to extend a thank you to Select Board and the Budget Committee and the Capital Improvement Plan Committee. There's a lot of work and communication going around and discussions, good and bad discussions, just I've said highlighted discussions, but appreciate all the community members that are involved in shaping that up. And the collaboration between the town and school is stronger than I think we've ever seen. So appreciate a lot of the efforts in seeing where we can unify on costs and reduce some of the spend for the town. So again, appreciate all that were involved and continue to be involved in that. All right, next consent agenda. Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, so there's no personnel report, but we can move right into the superintendent report. And we will start with a quick update from our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Nicole Tomaselli.
Good evening. Okay, so I'm excited to share an update with you on our program, our curriculum program review with you. I'm going to be giving a more substantive update with more details in January when we do our strategic plan deliverables. But for tonight, I kind of wanted to just give you some kind of overview. So it is kind of important to denote there's a significant difference between a curriculum purchasing cycle and a curriculum program review. The curriculum cycle is often tied to purchasing or licensing in a school district, while a program review kind of looks past the materials purchase and uses the expertise of the educators, current best practice, and evidence-based tools as an opportunity to engage in like systematic program improvements. So a good therefore, I've begun to meet with teachers during PLC times this fall to flesh out some of our goals, our deliverables, and our timelines for our work in math, science, and ventures. We are going to continue to meet throughout the year to do this important planning and learning together, and then ultimately redesigns where necessary. But I wanted to give you kind of a good example of this is what we did last year with English language arts, where we were able to, we got lucky timing-wise with that, where our licenses for the program we had were sunsetting. Just around the same time, many of our educators were taking the letters training offered by the New Hampshire Department of Ed, and we were learning about the science of reading. So the timing actually could not have been better for us in Hampstead last year to look at literacy. So we did purchase Wonders, and we purchased HMH at the middle school, but we've also implemented kind of a new culture around data and analyzing student performance on the regular, along with an MTSS structure that allows us to give more targeted instruction. So that's kind of a curriculum program review, and it's still developing. We're still purchasing resources. I'm still writing grants to kind of get our targeted groups the materials they need. But that's what we're looking to do in science, math, and in ventures moving forward. So in science, we're committed to, as I've said before, we're really committed to developing our own homegrown science curriculum that will provide our students with as many hands-on, experiential, and relevant learning opportunities as possible. As we look at next-gen science standards, we will be correlating all of our existing nonfiction reading materials from our Wonders program, from Discovery Ed, from our own libraries, and a variety of open source materials. We're going to correlate that content reading with a lab experience and a simulation for every thematic unit. So kids will get a hands-on experience, they'll get background knowledge, they'll get a simulation, which is how they're tested in SAS. And then we're also going to be incorporating more field trips and outdoor learning experiences, but where they really fit best. So for example, I don't know if you're aware, but there is a total solar eclipse coming to New Hampshire in April. This is like a big event for all the astronomy people. So we are already making plans to make that a big community event in April 2024. But there will also be yearly field trips that will be built into the science curriculum. At the elementary level, I have to give Mrs. Wisecarver a tremendous thank you. She's done a beautiful job reading through the Wonders thematic units and creating a crosswalk for us of where the science themes overlap between Wonders and the program we currently use, which is Mystery Science. So that will help us not need to purchase additional content like textbooks or reading materials. So science is kind of getting underway this year. In Ventures, I've met with we've met to review the existing curriculum, and I just have to say it's been such a tremendous opportunity for me to sit with the Ventures teachers and learn more about this program. Ventures plays an incredibly important role in providing enrichment to our school communities in very unique and flexible ways. It is interesting and also important to note that the focuses on enriching math and literacy skills at the elementary level. However, As the students progress through middle school, the focus is more on 21st century skills. So it's collaboration, communication, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and innovation. And that makes sense to me because those children have far surpassed competency at the middle school grades if they are in the program. So we're just at the beginning stages of this program review and we will be looking for stakeholder input from both teachers and families, but we're excited about incorporating this enrichment program under the wider umbrella of MTSS in order to give more students opportunities to develop these skills and participate in programming. So think of it as more points in and more points out to get a specific skill, and then you exit. So you might do 6 to 8 weeks of critical thinking, and then you go back to the regular other Tier 2 intervention groups during WIN time. So as part of this program review, we will be asking the policy committee to look at policy IHBB, which was last updated in the year 2000. That is our Ventures Program Philosophy policy. So you'll be looking for that update in the spring. And then finally, in math, we will be doing a full program review next year. It's quite an undertaking to do ELA in 1 year, implement a new program, look at science, and then look at math all in a 2-year span. It's very overwhelming, particularly for elementary teachers who are generalists, who teach all the subjects. So we're going to negotiate a contract with Big Ideas, which is our current provider, for 1 year. In the meantime, our middle school PLC teachers in math are reading Building Thinking Classrooms by Peter Lidgthal. I'm going to butcher his name, but he is a math kind of educational guru. And it's exciting to hear them talk about how they can structure math classrooms in ways that help kids get past memorization and repetition. So they're kind of doing the background work of learning about math practices, and that'll help us really move forward quickly next year with what I'm excited to put together next year for math. I think it'll be a little bit of a more homegrown approach with a lot more labs and hands-on in math. Are there any questions?
Is there a plan in place for how you'll get feedback from families?
Around Ventures?
Or around the curriculum as a whole?
Yeah, that's a good question. For Ventures, it was just going to be a Google form specific to teachers that are involved in data teams and have students on their rosters, and then for families. But feedback around the curriculum in general from families, is that what you're
Yeah, I didn't know if that was
asking?
part of the plan or if you were just referring to Ventures as far as family feedback.
Involvement? We could incorporate stakeholder feedback in all of the disciplines. It might be, I'm a little weary of over-surveying the community, but certainly I do want to hear from people, particularly around science and hands-on and field trips, because I know that we have a community that has a lot of working adults who work in the industry, and we would love to know who those people are. If there's an expert in any area of science that would want to work with our schools and partner with us, either via a field trip going out or a guest speaker coming in or a lab or for family STEAM night, we would love to know who those people are. So yes, I probably should incorporate surveying into both math and science.
The other piece that we could look at that actually Nicole and I worked on in previous district is even hosting like a math informational night. And I say that because it would check another box when it comes to our deliverables where we said that we would do 4 community engagement events. And so, we sort of left the door open for what those events are. So that's certainly something that could be in the cards, because that feedback obviously is really important.
Great. Yeah, I think that, we've talked about this before, and I'd like to see more action around is having, that outreach to community members who want to come in. I know I've talked to a few that have said, yeah, how do I help? How do I get in? And there's not a lot of that reach out to say, hey, we're looking for somebody in science, somebody in math, looking for an electrician, those kind of things. How do we get that out there to them?
Yeah.
And how do we bring them in, either for, some sort of event day, whatever that looks like. So I think we need to do a little bit more on there.
Okay.
So we actually use the Peter Lidgthal in Nashua, and it's one of the, I think we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Because the kids are up out of their seats, they're using practical problems, the teacher's moving around the room, they're teaching each other. and it's very practical, hands-on, and for people that are kinesthetic and people that are visual learners, it's a lot better than you teach at them while they're at their seats. Then they try to do the problems and then they get frustrated. I think he's brilliant. I've sat in on one of his webinars, so I think that's awesome that we're doing that.
Great. And so it's our intention at the next regularly scheduled meeting on January 23rd, we're going to do a mid-year, we discussed this in August, a mid-year check-in on the deliverables, what progress we've made. Is meeting with Nicole prior to the meeting tonight, she had a lot more information because they've done a lot of really great work in curriculum. And we thought we'd just give you a little flavor of that tonight, and there'll be more substance to that when we have the meeting in January. So just a couple of other real quick items. So there was a little bit of excitement this morning at the central school. There was an odor that was reported. And of course, these things happen at the most inopportune times. We were actually hosting a leadership meeting at my office, and it was our school counselor who was the person who made the decision. She was in charge at the moment, made the right decision to evacuate the building so that we could have the fire department come in and do an analysis. The odor was identified as a sewage odor outside of the music room. So it's since been taken care of. But I just want to take the opportunity to thank Michelle Crissa for her quick thinking, fast reaction between contacting the fire department, evacuating the building, and then getting the administrators on site very quickly. Students were outside. It was unplanned, so many of them did not have coats. They were outside by my watch for about 12 minutes. It was about 42 degrees, so it was bearable, but obviously if we'd gone any longer than that, we would have looked to go across the street at St. Anne's or over to the middle school. But best possible outcome, when you get that first call, it's a little scary, so I appreciate the quick thinking of not just Mrs. Crissa, but the rest of the staff at the central school. Speaking of the central school, we heard Mrs. Milbury talk about the visit from Andover Middle School to come check out this wonderful Spotlight School. We also have had visitors from the Sandown School District. Last week came to visit the central school to look at the instructional rounds model. So instructional rounds are when we have educators, the most simplest explanation, when we have educators going into other educators' classroom to just learn more not only about the practice of their colleagues, but their own practice. And the system that's been set up at Central School is very well done. It's put together by our teacher leaders, and it's getting the attention of other school districts. So again, here we have Andover schools coming to visit us. Sandown schools have come to visit us. Next week we have a visit from the Lawrence Public School System at the Central School for the same thing. School districts come to us to get new ideas about teaching and learning, and that just speaks volumes about the educators and the leadership that we have in the district. Then also, last week was the Krista McAuliffe Technology Conference. This is an annual conference that is really a big draw for educators across the state. I was able to attend on Tuesday. Nicole brought a team of educators on Wednesday. It was all about AI. Really exciting conversations about what the future of public education is going to look like. And, so that's the work that we need to start to look at is how are our teachers using AI? How are students appropriately using it? And there is a path that's being forged right now by a couple of school districts. Bedford is one of them, and then the other school that's doing a really amazing job with AI is Pinkerton Academy. In fact, I had a conversation with a Spanish teacher who's been teaching Spanish for 30 years. And the last department meeting that they had with Pinkerton, it was all about AI and how we can begin to use it, looking at it from more of a K through 12 systematic approach. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's really exciting. And then lastly, I just want to focus, and most importantly for me, I just want to talk about generosity, right? I am absolutely blown away by the donation that the family made to pay off the lunch balances. They just have no idea how impactful and helpful that is. We see it every day. There are some kids that the only meals that they eat during the week are here at school, and not all of those students qualify for free and reduced lunch, unfortunately. So to actually have somebody to come in and pay off those balances is amazing. But it doesn't stop there. Shortly after I sent out my communication, I received 2 emails from community members asking, are there other ways that they can help out, that they can extend that generosity? You know, we've had, donations of $500 or more that come to the board for their approval, but what you don't see is every day there's donations of bottles of water for our school counselors, or a local group in town that gives a few $100s to support students. If you look at the table over here, you have the student council that's doing a food drive. The generosity in this town is absolutely amazing. And one that I do want to point out is, we have this Christmas Stars program that's run by our social worker, Julie Barbic. And essentially we collect toys and other gifts that are given out to children here in Hampstead. Those donations come from our teachers and from community partners. You should see the volume of donations that we've received. It's overwhelming. So I just want to thank everybody, because sometimes those groups, those families, their names don't come here, but I can tell you there are a lot of people in this community that support our schools and support our children every single day. So thank you.
Good. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Thompson?
That's all I got.
All right. Let's see. Other business, just real quick. I want to go back to that actually about Julie Barbic. Just recognize, I know Ms. Milbury said it, but just again, congratulations to Julie for winning the award for being a community all-star. So please let her know we say thank you for all that she's doing. Last thing, just really quickly, we'll close with to remind everybody about the important dates coming up in January, in February, and into March. We do have the public hearing on the bond January 9th at 6:30 p.m. and then the public hearing on the proposed budget starts at 7 p.m. That's here at the middle school. The snow date would be January 10th. Deliberative session 1 is at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, February 6th. And then the voting day again is Tuesday, March 12th, here from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the only thing I did miss throwing out there was the filing period for candidates, as we have 2 board member seats that are up. Wednesday, January 24th is the first day for filing, and the last day is February 2nd. So it gives about a week and a half to file for candidacy for school board members. Other than that, we are not going into non-public, so we will look to adjourn at 8:04 p.m. on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Thank you very much.